If you've been following the lead up to the federal election even a little bit, you've doubtless come across headlines such as these. Political scandals are nothing new, not even in Australia. However, election campaigns have a way of digging up the past. One of the enduring themes of this year's election campaign has been the number of candidates that have been either barred from running, withdrawn, or disendorsed by their party as a result of a scandal. Indeed, there have been a record number of these disendorsements and scandals, but what's been going on? Why have there been so many, and are they likely to continue? There have been two major reasons why candidates have faced scrutiny during this election cycle. The first is good old-fashioned political scandals. These have generally involved unsavoury comments being made on social media, with parties distancing themselves from candidates as a way of limiting damage to their brand. The second of these issues is more complex. Section 44 ineligibility concerns. This relates to a particular section of the Australian Constitution that prohibits certain people being elected to political office. This video is an explainer of all the candidates who are no longer running or no longer have the backing of their parties, other candidates who might be in trouble, and what effects this may have on the ultimate outcome of the election. So let us first discuss the political scandals. These are easier to understand and more traditional elements of the campaign. However, these have been greater in number, due in part to the proliferation of social media. I will not be repeating the specific statements made by a number of the candidates due to their insensitive nature, and Farrago does not endorse any of these views as its own. I'll be going through this section in order of political party, starting with the Liberal Party. Jeremy Hearn was the Liberal candidate for the Victorian seat of Isaacs. However, the Herald Sun revealed that Hearn had posted a conspiracy-laden and anti-Muslim rant online. Hearn suggested that Muslims were hiding their true intentions and intending to overthrow the government and install Sharia law. Hearn did apologise for these remarks once they became public. However, he was disendorsed by the Morrison government. While Hearn was predicted to make an impact at the ballot box, with the electorate held by incumbent Labor MP Mark Dreyfus by only 3%, it seems unlikely that this seat will now change hands. Murray Angus is perhaps the most unlucky Liberal member to be disendorsed in this electoral cycle. Angus was running in the safe Victorian Labor seat of Corio, but was dumped for breaching party rules. While the Liberal Party were reticent to provide details for this decision, it is speculated that this action was taken in response to Angus's refusal to criticise his opponent, Shadow Defence Minister Richard Marles, calling him a good bloke, as well as his fondness for unions. While Angus was not expected to win, this does hand the victory back to Marles with ease. Peter Killin, a former member of Cory Bernardi's Australian Conservatives Party, was the Liberal Party's nomination for the Victorian seat of Wells. Killin resigned over allegations of homophobia when it was revealed that he had claimed that homosexual lifestyles led to appalling health risks. Additionally, Killin previously expressed his disappointment that he was unable to stop fellow MP Tim Wilson's pre-selection, as he wished to ensure that there were no homosexual MPs. Further, Killin encouraged conservative Christians to infiltrate the party to stop more MPs like Wilson. This withdrawal has the greatest chance of hurting incumbent Labor MP Peter Khalil, as Labor has previously relied upon Liberal preferences to overcome challenges from the Greens in this seat. Jessica Whelan, the Liberal candidate for the Tasmanian seat of Lyons, has also been disendorsed. Whelan resigned after Facebook posts emerged indicating that she possessed Islamophobic views. While she admitted that she had made some ill-advised comments in the past, Whelan denied making any of the posts attributed to her under her name and called upon the Australian Federal Police to investigate. While Labor was expected to hold Lyons, the publicity around Whelan has put her in the spotlight to potentially pick up the seat, held by 3.8%, as an independent. This remains an outside chance, however. Gurpal Singh, the Liberal candidate for the Victorian seat of Scullin, is now the most recent resignation from the Liberal Party this election. Singh made comments defending perpetrators of rape and linking gay marriage to paedophilia. Scullin is a very safe Labor seat, held by Andrew Giles by almost 20%. It is unlikely that it would have changed hands. Moving on to the Labor Party now, and we begin with the Labor Senate candidate number 2 in the Northern Territory. Wayne Kurnorth made anti-Semitic comments online stating his belief that the world was run by a group of shape-shifting Jewish lizard people. Additionally, he shared information on conspiracy theories about the Rothschild family, shared anti-Semitic memes, and a mock image of Malcolm Turnbull beheading a journalist. One of Labor's original nominations for the Western Australian seat of Curtin, Melissa Park was forced to withdraw her nomination following controversial comments about issues relating to Israel and Palestine. Park referred to Israel's treatment of Palestinians as worse than the South African system of apartheid. She did not back down from these statements, however acknowledged that they would be a distraction to Labor's campaign and withdrew. It was an uphill battle for the Labor Party to take Curtin anyway. However, Park presented an opportunity with Julie Bishop retiring. Now, it seems as if this seat will remain safely with the Liberal Party. Labor's candidate to challenge incumbent Greens MP Adam Bant in the seat of Melbourne, Luke Creasey, recently withdrew from the race. Creasey was found to have made a series of unacceptable comments on social media a series of years prior, joking about rape, lesbian relationships, and Catholicism. While Labor had hoped to challenge Bant, this will ensure that the Greens MP remains in his seat. While it was unlikely that Greens candidate Jay Dessy would mount a successful campaign in the Victorian seat of Layla, safely held by Labor MP Joanna Ryan, this became even less likely after it emerged that Dessy had made a series of distasteful Facebook posts. Dessy made a racist joke about an Asian friend and, curiously, joked about having had sex with a ghost. Dessy quit as candidate after these revelations. One Nation is no stranger to controversies regarding its members, and nor is Steve Dickson. Only a month after being heavily featured in the Al Jazeera documentary tracking members of the One Nation Party attempting to secure financial backing from the National Rifle Association in America, footage emerged of Dickson while on that same trip at a strip club. Dickson behaved and spoke degradingly towards women, was very drunk, and married with 2 children. One Nation's vote in this election is hard to predict, due in part to the large number of controversies that have been following them recently. However, Dickson's high-profile resignation is unlikely to assist. Finally, from the sublime to the ridiculous, Tony Pecora, the candidate for the seat of Melbourne from Clive Palmer's newly formed United Australia Party, was disendorsed. It would take a lot, one would imagine, to be disendorsed by Clive Palmer. However, Pecora publicised his strident views on conspiracy theories on a range of matters, including 9/11, vaccinations, the JFK assassination, and a globalist New World Order. Pecora was unlikely to capture more than 1% of the primary vote in Melbourne. So what does this all mean? Well, in short, it's complicated. Some of these candidates have withdrawn from the election completely prior to the nomination date, and thus their names will not appear on ballots. However, for a large number of these candidates, their names still will, along with the party they nominated for. What complicates this further is that some of these candidates are still running, now as independents, and others are not. Of additional concern is the continuing existence of advertising materials, how-to-vote cards, and other information on the candidates who are no longer representing the parties. It is hard to say what the overall outcome of these particular issues will be, and it is likely we will have to wait until after the election to find out. The next issue that is facing a number of candidates for this election is Section 44 of the Constitution, and issues associated with it. In essence, what this complicated wall of text actually means is that any individuals with a certain degree of association with another country are not eligible to be elected to serve in Parliament. Additionally, members must not be undisclosed bankrupts or take a pecuniary interest in any operation conferred by the Commonwealth, or in plain language, be paid directly by or have a relationship with a company that receives direct benefit from Commonwealth payouts. Though, included in the Constitution in its formation, this section had not been utilised for a while until recently. The Section 44 crisis was a period in Australian politics in 2017 to 18, where a number of politicians were declared ineligible to sit in Parliament due to their dual citizenships. Earlier in 2016, Family First Senator Bob Day and One Nation Senator Rod Cullerton had been declared ineligible for various reasons. However, the aftershock of this was a number of high-profile ineligibility rulings. Scott Ludlam of the Greens, Larissa Waters of the Greens, Matt Canavan of the Liberals, Malcolm Roberts of One Nation, Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce of the Nationals, Fiona Nash of the Nationals, Nick Xenophon of the Nick Xenophon team, Senate President Stephen Parry of the Liberals, John Alexander of the Liberals, Justine Kay of Labor, Susan Lamb of Labor, Rebecca Sharkey of the Nick Xenophon team, Jackie Lambie, an independent, Skye Kokoschke-Moore of the Nick Xenophon team, and Katie Gallagher of Labor were all caught up in the scandal. The High Court ruled in a number of cases. Many of the politicians were declared ineligible and forced to either resign or face a by-election, provided they could divorce themselves of citizenship. All in all, it was a massive disaster that made Parliament look unprofessional, cast doubt on the vetting process of all the parties, and left the public scratching their heads. Following this, the High Court made it abundantly clear: no individual who was a dual citizen by birth, descent, or any other mechanism could be duly elected. One would have thought that this clear statement would have prevented future issues, but this would prove to be incorrect. The Liberal National Coalition has had a number of candidates have to withdraw over Section 44 concerns, though most before nominations were finalised. Helen Jackson fell under another aspect of Section 44, the inability to be in office under profit from the Commonwealth, as she was an employee of Australia Post and unwilling to give it up. Vaishali Ghosh was potentially entitled to Indian citizenship. Kate Oskey was potentially entitled to Polish citizenship. Sam Kayal was unable to prove renunciation of Lebanese citizenship despite applying for it in November of 2018. Courtney Nguyen was unable to prove renunciation of Vietnamese citizenship. And finally, James Harker-Mortlock was unable to provide proof of renunciation of British citizenship. Section 44 concerns for other parties have been drastically more limited than for the Coalition. Prior to his resignation, on other matters, Luke Creasey was under scrutiny for Section 44. His Ukrainian grandmother was made stateless in World War II. However, Creasey had not provided formal written advice from either lawyers or the Ukrainian embassy on the matter. Secondly, one of a number of United Australia Party candidates not to make it to the nomination stage, Farda Nikchu, was scrutinised for a failure to adequately revoke Iranian citizenship in time for the nominations and was subsequently withdrawn. It is likely that we have not heard the end of matters regarding Section 44. There are a number of candidates who are under a degree of scrutiny at the moment who may in the future be referred to the High Court for determination. First, the Australian Electoral Commission has raised concerns over at least 19 of the United Australia Party's candidates who have failed to provide complete and adequate information to prove that they are eligible to run for Parliament. The major parties have also been sniping at each other over reports of various candidates not being eligible. These have included Labor's Shireen Morris over concerns she might have Fijian citizenship, the Liberals' Minazaki over Afghanistani citizenship, Labor's Meryl Swanson over debt concerns, and the Liberals' Kate Ashmore over Israeli citizenship. It is unlikely that these will stop, with Section 44 proving to be the new weapon in the arsenal of each party to threaten candidates. With all this being said, this election continues to provide much in the way of drama and intrigue. It is unlikely at this point that we will see any more withdrawals or disendorsements prior to Election Day. However, with the way this cycle has been proceeding, it is impossible to say so for sure. Make sure to tune in on Facebook on election night, Saturday the 18th of May, to catch Farrago's live coverage of the election results as it happens, and stay tuned to Farrago for future videos regarding the election before and after its occurrence.